Look, I will advise, this is partly based on actual observation. What I found is when COVID was introduced and the decision was made that things have to be remote and digital, what was found is people who have been teaching for long, some of them found like they were adverse to the idea of change. They were like, no ways, no, I've been doing this, like you're saying, I've been doing this for 30 years like this and it works. But unfortunately, it means upskilling yourself. There's some that aren't even really comfortable with using some of the online platforms that institutions have to like where you can post assignments and announce. Some just don't do that. What they tell you is you need to be in class and you need to do everything that comes out of my mouth. I don't need to post it if you're not in class. So I agree with you. It is concerning a lot. We had this work group where people can then ask for advice. Okay, how do I do this? If I want to shorten a video, if I want to compress. And what I found is that the most seasoned lecturers, a lot of them were just afraid of change because I mean they've been doing things for 30 years. So I think it's more about embracing and then being able to ask, because I can imagine someone who's a professor for 30 years is used to everyone coming to them saying, listen, you're an expert. How do you handle this? So maybe it's an opportunity to relinquish a bit of ego and come and say, look, listen, how do we make this work? How do we make this paradigm shift change to say, okay, student-centric. I would advise them to always think of the student. If you think of a student and don't think of what you think a student should be, actually ask. That usually helps you understand what you need to do. I learned how to survive by just asking the students, what issues do you face? Yeah, you guys talk about this online stuff, but just logging onto these zero-rated sites is a mission. Oh, okay. So now I thought, okay, that's why I don't necessarily want to have a lot of live sessions, because I know someone might be keen, but they can't log in. It's not anything they can control. The device or the site is hanging. So now what do? I'm denying them the opportunity to learn. Then it helps me structure how I want to facilitate the education. It's not that I know, no one knows this. This is new to everyone. But if you just take a step back and say, okay, I know that education has to be relayed, but I'm dealing with other people. Maybe let me speak to them and ask. That usually will help you understand how to move through this COVID. There isn't a manual. No one has ever experienced COVID before, so you can't refer back to a manual. So just take a step back and ask. I think just taking a step back and asking is usually great. The steps that follow from that would be more intuitive because of the information that you're getting. But if you're working from a point of reference, it's going to be difficult because what reference are you working from? This has never happened before. So I would advise them, take a step back, breathe, and ask.
I think it's the same as what I said previously to the students. I think this is exciting. Things are changing. And maybe you see a professor traditionally as being somebody standing in front of the classroom. But it's exciting to think about how can we spread our knowledge, because that's really what it is about. How can we pass on the knowledge that we have gained over time to other people and students and other lecturers? And the fact that we can do that in multiple ways, and that this has shown us that there are many more other devices that we can use to spread the knowledge that we have. It's not only writing a paper or standing in front of a classroom. That to me is really interesting. I also think that my experience over time, and I'm not afraid of IT, I do research on intelligent transport systems, so maybe I'm not a typical in front of the classroom professor that you would normally think about. But I also think that you need to find what works for you. So, we have been discussing this a lot. We need to upload videos and maybe upload the videos from last year when we were still in the front of the classroom. And then I can narrate my lectures and I can turn that into a video, but I can also turn it into a slideshow, and I can have the voice starting automatically or not. I think figure out what works for you, because if it works for you, it will be legible for the students. They will adapt and grow with you. So that's my advice. I think, you know, so I started turning my narrated lectures into videos. And if I look at the size of those, you know, 300 meg tab of files, you know, that doesn't work for my student in Lesotho. He will never be able to download that. And the other formats give the same information. So why would I put it out there? I don't see why I would duplicate information in worse ways. You know, so I haven't done that. I think, and I think we can learn together. I think working hand in hand, we have had weekly meetings in the faculty and with the department, and sharing, you know, what we have done, etc. And I think it's very interesting that one of my colleagues that is about to retire in 2 or 3 years actually got a lot of it right. He spent a lot of time investigating what to do, and he got a lot of it right. So I think it's maybe also a little bit of experience of over the years what works for students and what doesn't. You know, the big issue this year for Discord and all of us, young and old, changing things, is that it takes an awful lot of time to do this. And so everything is suffering because it takes so much time to go digital. You know, from next year, you know, COVID can last for another 3 years. That will be fine, because then we have half the material and we start improving upon what we have. And, you know, but that way we also will make things much better for the future. So I think we have a bright future.